Dave and I had worked together for almost 10 years. I was about 9 years ahead of him in the lineup of a firm that had grown when I started to about 20 to well over 100. And I was a partner there doing litigation, and so was Dave. And as the law firm evolved, it came to be apparent that a number of the areas that I wanted to practice in and that Dave practiced in were being restricted because of conflicts. And we had grown from literally 5 lawyers in the desert to almost 30.
Yeah.
And the firm itself had just expanded countywide. And so we had a number of cases in the year before I left that I could not take. So I went to the group, and I really admired the firm I was with. They would treated me fairly. And I said, if you'll pay me on the basis of the cases I don't bring in, I can stay, but otherwise I need to leave. And so with that decision made for me, at my point in life, I went to Dave and I asked him if he'd go start a law firm with me. And for better or for worse, he said yes.
It was at that point in time, Tom and I were both at BB&K, and I was kind of a recent partner. I was probably a partner 8 years or so, and worked for Tom. He was my mentor. He taught me the ropes on litigation and how to write in clear and persuasive ways for briefs and so forth. So we were always kind of working together. And when he asked me, I was actually I had a really good gig at the firm, and they were talking about even making me head of litigation department. But it was enticing. The opportunity to control your own destiny, create your own environment, run your own shop was intriguing to me as a young man, as a young lawyer. So we decided to do it. And I have to say, I was scared to death when we first went out and announced, like, holy moly, this is really happening, and no safety net. I kept, really the 6 months before I went out, I was just chipmunking cases because I was scared to death we wouldn't have any work. And when we first went out, January 1, 1994, we had so much damn work that we just didn't know what to do with it. I mean, we came out with, how many lawyers did we have, Tom? When we first started, we took 2 people, right? We had 4 to start.
Well, we took 1, Joanne Garcia Colson, and then later the next year, Jim Ferguson came.
Yeah. Actually, I think that's wrong. I think at the first year we ended up having 6.
Yeah.
So we started off with 3, and then within a short period of time we had 6, and we were overwhelmed the whole time, and it never stopped being overwhelmed. I mean, we were working in those. This is going to sound crazy in today's environment, but we were working 23, 24, 2,600 hours a year billable. So we were working pretty much 7 days a week. I'd say 12, 14 hours a day.
In fact, one day, Dave tried to go home early about 9 o'clock at night, and he's sneaking out, or maybe it was me sneaking out, but one of the 2 of us was trying to sneak out early at 9 and 10 o'clock at night. We'd only got there about 6 o'clock in the morning. That was standard. So
I was sneaking out.
He was sneaking out. And
I just needed some sleep. I had to work, I think, 3 days in a row till about 2 in the morning. I just needed some sleep.
So I caught him. I said, where the hell you going? And he timidly went back into his office. I don't know if he went to sleep or not.
I said, Tom, I got to get some sleep. I'm leaving. He goes, hey, we have a law firm to run. We're starting a new business. We're in this together. What the heck?
So, and Dave said no safety net. I had 5 children. Luckily, I had a wife who was a lawyer, a partner at BB&K. I had that income, but we had no financing. We had no savings. We had nothing but the cases we had.
That's right.
And the other reason we left was our prior firm was conservative. I wanted to go, and Dave wanted to go, what we called big game hunting. We had some cases which we took on contingency fee, which was not something that firm particularly wanted.
They just didn't want to do it.
They didn't want it. So we jumped into the class action plaintiff's work instead of doing defense work, which I had done representing employers, started representing employees. and we began to file class action lawsuits, had several big ones. Our first and maybe our most successful one was against Bank of America.
Yep.
We had one against Rent-A-Center. We had another antitrust case we took on a contingency fee that I brought with me.
And we started doing all kinds of complex civil litigation, and many of them on contingency fee cases.
And so
Whether it was employment, whether it was complex corporate, real estate, construction defect, we did it all. I mean, we were a boutique construction law firm for the first 5 years of our existence. We didn't do any business work, any real estate work. It was all complex civil litigation.
And luckily, Dave had been born and raised in the desert. He knew everybody, and I'd been here a good while. And so we put the word out. If you've got some hard cases that you need help on, we're here. And the uglier and the nastier, the better.
So we worked, we had the firm going for 5 years. We had so much work we were sending away because we didn't do it. We didn't do real estate. We didn't do corporate. We didn't we didn't form corporations. We didn't represent HOAs or do real estate work. So we had worked with Mark at Best and Krieger. I actually grew up with Mark on the same street, so we knew each other. So there came a time where I was talking to Mark, and we just started talking about he was still at Best and Krieger, and he was looking maybe to leave. He had Jason Dabereiner was his partner that he was working with, and we just had some meetings about making the firm full service. And I remember we went out to Los Angeles. We stayed at the Lowe's, and we banged out a weekend bargaining session. There was a little, which wasn't. It wasn't all roses and caviar and champagne. And we banged out an agreement and started the firm. I remember Mark, the last thing was he required me to commit to him to 5 years. And now 30-something years later, we're still plugging away at it. So it worked out well. It worked out well. First office was at was on Tockwitz Canyon Way at was it?
It was in Ron Fragan's building.
Ron Fragan's building. Was it 900? I think 900 Tockwitz, and we had a small office there. But with 6 people about maxed us out. From there, we went to 1111 Tockwitz. We had a much larger office, and I think at that time, when Mark and Jason came aboard, we were probably 10, 12 lawyers at that time, 13 lawyers. And we stayed there for quite a few years, 4 or 5 years. And then we migrated to where we stayed for long-term over at, what was the address there? 1800 Tockwitz. And we were there for 15 years plus, maybe 20 years. And where we grew to, about 25 to 30 lawyers.
The thought was, I love Palm Springs. And but as the desert grew, it became apparent that we needed to cover the desert better, and also more of our lawyers began to live down valley. So there began to be some pressure for those who lived in La Quinta. Can't imagine why they didn't want to drive an hour to work, but they were giving some desire to open an office in Indian Wells, which eventually we did.
And part of our firm philosophy was to be involved in community affairs. So we were heavily involved in Palm Springs on various boards, charitable organizations, film festival, you name it, Palm Springs Economic Development Commission. We had a few lawyers that were doing some stuff for the city of Palm Desert. One became a council member, planning commission, other stuff. But the involvement in the valley from Indio to Palm Springs was part of our DNA, and we did not mandate community participation, but we heavily encouraged our young lawyers to get involved do something that you're passionate about. We don't want you just to go to the building association just to say I was there. We wanted you to get involved in organizations and charities and give back to the community and stuff that you're passionate about. And so people did that. But then it was part of, our DNA, and still is today. We still highly encourage it. We fund it. We pay for it. Whatever you want to do. Valerie Power is a good example. She's on every board. She loves it, and we encourage it, fund it, promote it, and we think it's important, and we think it pays dividends because you get your firm name out there as well, and you make contacts, and even though we're in the digital age, personal relationships still are important in my view.
So one of the things that happened in our early days in particular, we had lots of energy and lots of cases, and we were able to bring in some really good people and who worked very, very hard. And that was the expectation.
We work hard, do quality work. Our philosophy was, if you do quality work, you're ethical, you treat people right, then the work will come. And it came from all that. Oftentimes, Tom said, from opposing lawyers that we had cases with, would then refer cases to us. Tom primarily got his referral base was other lawyers. Mine was people in the community. I knew people in the community, so we got business that way, and it was very complimentary for years and years. It still is.
But I will tell you, it was. You had to really enjoy the practice of law, and you had to be dedicated to doing it.
Yes.
We had a couple sayings that we talked about wanting to have foxhole lawyers, and that kind of came out of some phrasing. I had actually, while I was in law school, had to go to ROTC, and the United States Army. It was at the end of the Vietnam War, and fortunately I did not have to go there, but I'd had some training, and there was people who picked up a phrase called a foxhole partner. That is to say, someone, if your life depended on it, your case depended on it, you want that person in a foxhole with you. So we had that phrase. The other phrase I remember kicking about to people just to make sure they understood what our job was, how do you tell the firemen from the citizens? The firemen are the crazy son of a bitches that are running towards the fire. And so, people hire us because we are litigators. People hire us because there's a fire, usually in their business. People hire us because they don't know what to do. So they want you to go in and fight their fires for them. And if you're prepared to run into the fire, we want you here, and we'll help you be the best lawyer you can be. If you don't like firefighting, wait tables elsewhere. We were able to hire a number of really fine lawyers over the years, and managed to take on some pretty interesting cases. I would say this, one of the other benefits of being in the Coachella Valley, which remains, this is an amazingly interesting place in terms of people. The number of different kinds of people from all over the world. So we represented on some minor matters, but still.
Top CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, celebrities.
Ambassador Annenberg, we represent, and people would come through.
Sinatra's people, remember that?
Oh yeah,
But I mean, it was just incredible. Everybody comes to the Valley, and so some of the calls of some of the people we met, celebrity folks, was incredible.
Because this was a small community, you got to know the courts, the judges, all of whom had their own quirks. And, and so we were able to practice law down here. And what goes around comes around quickly in the desert.
So, in terms of the development of the firm, Tom and I, from 94 to 98, I think we got to be, 6, 8, 10 lawyers. And then that's when we made the decision that we needed to be full service. We had too many existing clients that we couldn't serve, and it was very difficult to send them out to have a corporation formed or to handle their business transaction. So that's when we engaged with Mark and Jason and negotiated with them. They were looking to break out and join our firm, and when they came to us, we grew rapidly. We really grew into a full-service boutique law firm, and we quickly became about 18 to 20 lawyers, and doing everything except no bankruptcy, no criminal law, no family law at the time. somewhere around, 2002, Tom, do you think? 2003 is when we talked to John Beatney, who we knew from Best and Krieger. I was out in the community all over the place. I was involved and I was everywhere. It's how I got my business. I was kind of out doing the thing. Everywhere I would go, I'd see John Beatney out there going, damn, I like to be the only lawyer when I'm at a whether it's Rotary, whatever it is, I like to be the only lawyer in the group. And there's Pinkney, he's everywhere. And I kept telling Tom, I go, man, John is he is marketing, it's like crazy. And we knew John from our prior firm. And did you call John?
Yeah, I called him up.
You did.
And I interviewed him.
He said, well, if you can't beat him, let's join him,
So we were looking to expand, and my impression at the time of John, aside from being everywhere and so on, was that his focus was on litigation and private sector primarily.
Yeah.
And lo and behold,
Hard-working guy.
Yeah, very.
John had the DNA of our firm. He was serious lawyer. He was hard worker. Took it very seriously, and he was about as hard working lawyer as we saw in the Valley.
So we lure him over here, and lo and behold, he started bringing in all sorts of additional kinds of clients.
Yep.
Some that we historically had not handled.
Started doing a lot of government relations work and representing municipalities, special districts, and that's a large part of our work today. John quickly became a partner, and then became became the leader of the firm, and he's now running the firm, managing partner. Mark Empey, I ran the firm for a number of years as managing partner, probably 10 or 12. Then Mark Empey ran it, which was probably smarter because he was a business lawyer and more astute.
But most smart person in this whole group, you notice, they never made me managing partner. Dave, let's work together. You manage these people. Can you imagine? I'm telling you, trying to manage lawyers is like herding cats. Trying to get a consensus is impossible. And so Dave did it masterfully. Then we turned it over to Mark.
With a very steady hand.
Different style.
Very different style. And then John came in with a different vision, and that was let's really grow this thing. Let's expand. We now have offices in Orange County. We have offices in San Diego. We have offices in New York, and 2 offices here in the desert. So John's vision was to capture, not all the business, but all the good business. He wanted to expand our litigation department. He wanted us to become, and I think we are, the preeminent litigation firm in the Valley, and have gun will travel. We'll try a case anywhere in the state of California. He has expanded and has developed a significant reputation in the municipal arena and special districts, and we continue to expand and work for various districts and cities. We're now doing family law. We have an expansive real estate department with business department. So we're full service, and John, I think, still wants to continue to grow the thing with good lawyers into other areas. I get a call from someone at Best and Krieger, and they said, there's this gentleman here from San Francisco who's looking for a job. We don't have a position, so I told him to call you, expect a call. It was Sean Murphy. So, I talked to Tom. I said, I'm not sure we have an opening right now, but I'll meet with him. I'll meet with the guy. We'll take him out to lunch. We went to Al Dente. I'll never forget, in Palm Springs. I met Sean, and we just hit it off. I think we had like a 2-hour lunch. For the first hour, I don't think we talked anything about law. I went to school up in San Francisco. I went to Berkeley. I went to Hastings Law School. He's from San Francisco. We were talking about all the old haunts. He's a sports fan. I'm a sports fan. I used to be a 49ers season ticket holder. We talked about the good old Joe Montana and Steve Young days. And then we got into talking about his philosophy on practicing law, his experience, so forth. I was impressed. I came back and said, I think we need to hire Sean. I think he'd be a good addition to the firm. And he interviewed around, and I think he impressed everybody. We offered a job, and Sean's, now the head of the litigation department, and has had an incredible run of victories in trial. Great trial lawyer. Great to have him. And so that was just another good key pickup.
And so I think the attitude of still doing quality work for people in an ethical way has got to be your culture. But how one accomplishes that and what you have to balance in your lifestyles, I think is a little different. I think you have to be more flexible in today's world. If you're not flexible, people will not want to work with you. So I think John Pinckney's tasks today as a managing partner were different than Dave Barron's when he started out for our little firm.
Yeah, I think that things have changed dramatically here, not in terms of ethics, doing high-quality work, but the manner in which you do your work, the flexibility given now to every lawyer to manage their own life is a remarkable change. I think Tom and I were old school, more taskmasters. The way the firm is now is just, it's 180 degrees. I mean, we have a group, I'll use the term loosely, of misfits. I mean, we have people from all different walks of life, very diverse firm, incredibly different backgrounds. We speak a number of languages here. And then we give people the absolute flexibility to go about their professional life the way they want to go about their professional life. So some people may want to come into work every day, and they're here. Other people, they may do predominantly at home and work when they work. Some people have kids. They need to pick up their kids from school, and they'd rather work when the kids go to sleep at night. Whatever it is, John's given all lawyers the flexibility to run their life and how they want to run it. So I would say when I was running the firm, we did have some people that would leave. We had hour requirements back then. We don't now. And we haven't had anybody leave our law firm in years because it's a great place to work. When you have the freedom to work the way you want to, how you want to, when you want to, and you're compensated well for it, it seems to work in today's environment. I think the technology part has been a critical part of that, but it's really the overall philosophy of the firm that you're given the flexibility to manage your workload and your lifestyle the way you want to.
So I think in terms of diversity, in terms of what we try to attract, we have a nice cross-section of people of all different types of ethnic and other backgrounds, and it's a user-friendly place, I think.
50% of our partners are
women.
And we have all kinds of cultural backgrounds and welcome that. We encourage that. We like the different perspective that different cultures bring, and that's why I say it's a group of misfits. We have all different kinds. However, we all like each other. It's a fun environment. It's an open door policy here. People talk to each other. They run legal issues off of each other. It's very collaborative. And so it's kind of a fun place to hang out. You know, go to the kitchen, you can shoot the breeze with people and run things off of them. And I would say it's a unique environment for a law firm. We were in Palm Springs and firmly embedded in Palm Springs for 20 plus years. Mark Empey was the first one. He would bang the drum every year. We need to open up in Indian Wells. Ton of action down at Palm Desert, Indian Wells, La Quinta. That's where the growth is. We need to have a presence there. And he wanted to move the whole firm there because he was not a proponent of satellite offices. Ultimately, when John became managing partner, he agreed with the assessment. We all knew we had to be down in Indian Wells in Plum Desert. But John, hit the ground running, started looking at properties and had me go with him looking at properties. And he felt the future of the firm was in this part of the valley. We still have a presence in Palm Springs, always will. John found this building, and it's been a great home for us. And we have a lot of room to grow here. and we're right in the center of the valley. So it's just been terrific.
The other thing is, aside from just the exterior upgrading of the premises, which makes this a much more pleasant place to work, because of the technology now and people working remotely and people working from home, we don't have the same ratio. It used to be one lawyer, one office. Now, I'd say it's one office for every 2, maybe 3 lawyers. Yeah. We have, I don't have an office. Dave doesn't have an office designated. When we need an office here, we find an empty one.
Same one in Palm Springs. There's a visiting office in Palm Springs.
So the economics of practicing law in that sense have changed materially. We used to have a huge library. I was in charge of growing the library in the desert from 1978 on, and that was my pride and joy. If we have a book in the library now, as opposed to having everything online, I'm almost surprised. So the way we practice law, how we access, we're going all non-paper files these days. So when you want to have a file, what's a file? You open your computer and pull it up off your server. So not only just the aesthetics have changed, the manner in which we practice has materially changed, and it's changed the way you structure your law firm and what you spend money on or don't. I would simply say this about the future of this law firm and where we are now and where we're going. I'm a firm believer in what I call the law of unintended consequences. You can plan for life in a lot of different ways, but life throws you curveballs. And there's an old phrase, if you can't hit the curve, you can't play the game. So as a law firm, as a functioning organization of individual people who have goals, who want to practice professionally, have their own individual lives, how this law firm has evolved over the last 10 years with technology, the response to COVID, et cetera, has been, in my view, as I've watched it, somewhat not being the leader of the group. John Pinckney has been now the leader with Sean Murphy and Dave, and now we both have stepped back, both of us. I watch with amazement, and it's fun to watch. I don't have those pressures anymore, but I think we've got some fine people here who are looking to add additional good lawyers to make this organization go and change. How it's all going to evolve, I mean, for God's sakes, we now have a public law department, which we never did. We now have a department that handles dissolutions of marriages, which we never did. So where this law firm is going to go and who we might develop and what areas we might practice law in, I don't know. But that's part of the excitement of being part of an ever-changing environment. And I think if you overplan some of this, you miss opportunities. And I think the one thing that we've tried to do, and I think our firm has been good about it, is look for opportunities. And you just never know how it's going to turn out. And that makes life interesting and fun, in my opinion.
To me, it seems to me that the firm's at a critical point. It's when you're our 30th year. And what I see is when I look at the list of new clients every week, it's like, you know, where are they coming from? Who's going to handle all this work? But they're doing it. And I see the list and the breadth of the list, and it's impressive. And to me, I make the analogy, it's a runaway train. This firm is, you know, one of the bigger challenges is going to be to get enough people and the right people to accommodate the workload, because the reputation of the firm is such that the phone's ringing, not the phone anymore, but a lot of the intakes from the internet and so forth are just coming in at a very fast pace. But John's got a plan, Sean's got a plan, and they're handling it. So I suspect that the firm is going to continue to grow rapidly. I don't know, like Tom said, where we're going to grow into what areas, but it sure does look like the future is bright. You got to wear shades.